Hi, everyone. Welcome to my live Q&A Wednesday morning, wherever you are. Lovely to have you joining. I missed you all last week. I was on a beautiful holiday in Mexico. I was there for 8 nights and 7 days, and it was absolutely wonderful, restorative. Just want to make sure you're able to be here. Hi, Sue. Yay, the chat's working. Perfect. So I found it quite fascinating. When I look back at the only a couple of people posted questions in the comments of our last Wednesday live Q&A. And I was noticing this trend, which I think is so profound and important to speak about. And the trend is where the questions that are being brought forth by random individuals that aren't, choosing to post questions related to similar topics, they somehow segue together really beautifully. And that's definitely the case for this week's exploration. We have two questions, and I'm going to actually say them to you back to back. And then I'm going to start with the first one. So the first question was posed by Eloise Day. Hi, Eloise, if you're here listening. And this question is something that I've become increasingly aware of. And obviously, there's a great deal of concern around the South African load shedding. Now, for those of you that aren't familiar with this, what this is referring to is basically since around 2007 in South Africa, the population have been experiencing erratically scheduled, unpredictable, nationwide rolling electrical blackouts. And these can go up to 14 hours or more in a 24-hour period. And they've been more or less increasing since 2007. Now, I have some of my own ideas about that and some intuitive perspectives that have come through contemplating it for the last couple of days, but I also want to look and see what the cards have to say first, and then we can have a bit of a conversation around that. The second question posed by Kari Bookstaff Kier, hi Kari, was regarding something that I want to term as anomalies in the Libyan desert. So the Libyan desert, also in North Africa. So we've got South Africa and North Africa. I thought that was quite interesting. We're on the African continent this week. And these anomalies, which I've heard a little bit about in the past, are referring to what appears to be shapes resembling embryos, placentas, reproductive organs. And then there's the phenomena known as the eye of God, which I've been hearing about for a couple of decades or more, which is a large feature in the landscape with concentric rings that appears to resemble the description that Plato gave of the city of Atlantis. And so these anomalies are being followed by someone on YouTube known as Mud Fossil. This person has been posting videos regarding this and other phenomena for quite a long time. So you can check their YouTube information for more about this. So as I was contemplating these two topics, I realized there may be some correlation between them. And that was the phenomena that I was just describing. Like, we are being guided here, folks. These, what appears to be random selections are designed to give us beautiful perspectives. And to allow us to observe that we are actually being gently guided towards a healing process, in through a healing process towards a greater potential for the future of humanity. So that's my truest heart-centered belief. I'm just going to have a look over here. Oh my gosh. Okay, Foxy Hartman. Hello there from Cape Town. Um, Praying for you all, absolutely. Hello, Lynn. Good morning. You know, Foxy, I want to say, and for any of you who are tuning in or watching later from South Africa, before I begin to speak on this topic, obviously there's no way that I can casually talk about something so deeply impactful. You know, I'm living in a place where we're not experiencing that on a regular basis, and I can only imagine how phenomenally literally disempowering and disruptive this has been for all of you. And you have my utmost compassion and respect for what you're going through. So if it appears that I'm speaking on a more abstract, detached perspective of what's happening in the big picture, please do not see this as that I'm not acknowledging what you're going through personally, because I really understand that this is not an easy thing. Good morning. Hi, Sophia. Hi, Shauna. Welcome. So let's begin with just getting a basic perspective on this concept of load shedding and the experiences that people in South Africa are struggling with. I'm going to put the screen down so you can see me shuffling. On behalf of all of us, what does Spirit want us to know regarding this situation? What do we need to know about it at this juncture in time to feel most empowered to take action, to deepen our understanding? And what can we do in response to this? What's the best response? So here's us. Wow, look at this. Literally in the dark, holding the lamp. Wow. My goodness. This is the only lamp in the darkness card out of the 78 of the tarot, everyone. So let's just speak about this metaphorically for a minute. The hermit is the one that goes into the darkness, into the remote places alone with very little to guide them, to guide him. He's literally going without to go within. Fascinating. And he, from within, begins to find a light of inspiration, of truth, of insight that he gathers and then brings to light the way for others. So powerful. Okay, what do we need to know about this? Four of Pentacles. Hanging on materially. What do we need to hang on to and what do we need to let go of? It's about material stability. It's about like a sense of security, a sense of stability. So let's see what else the cards offer us. Okay. In terms of having an impact on a population, this card, the Seven of Cups, is about getting people worked up into a state of confusion, a state of overwhelm, a state of anxiety, so that, guess what? They are easier to manipulate. They're easier to control. And I want to say that this card in the position of the past speaks to what I noticed right away when I read the description of this phenomena. What I was drawn to was erratically scheduled, unpredictable. Okay, so let's, on the basic assumption that there actually is this energy crisis, which, as I understand, is related to the fact that 80% of all South Africa's electricity is produced of coal-fired power plants, and most of the rest is generated by oil and diesel. So right away, we're looking at a gross old paradigm, low density frequency of energy. When we're literally burning fossil fuels to energize ourselves, when we know there's been technologies on this planet literally for eons around creating free energy, this is about something else. Also, the erratic, unpredictable. So if this is about conserving energy, why is it not pre-designed and scheduled months in advance? So you could literally plan your business, your lifestyle, everything around these schedules. I mean, if it's literally about shutting off a power source, come on, you're telling me this can't be planned in advance? I don't buy that. So to me, this is literally about overwhelming people and making them feel, what happens when we feel we're not in control of our environment? We get anxious, we get scared. And when we're anxious and scared, we're operating out of fear and we're easy to manipulate. Aha. Okay, now we're going to look at another phenomena. I hope you'll all hang in there with me. I am a Gemini, and this is how I work with information, is I gather what seems to be a lot of data, and then I see how it all connects. So the next piece of information that's coming forward is the star. Okay, again, a night sky with the bright stars in it. What this is showing me is a phenomena about the light pollution on our planet. So I remember seeing this incredible documentary a few years ago. I'm trying to remember what it called. It was called Night Skies or something like that. And it was basically talking about how they're now having on the planet darkness sanctuaries where people who are astronomers can go and look at the night sky without all the light pollution. So there's something about an aspect of this is opening us up to our ability to perceive our stellar heavenly bodies in the sky. So as much as the control, the way this is being done is about manipulating us, it is having another effect, which is literally when we are able to, the guides are saying, when we're able to be bathed in starlight from constellations that don't appear when there's light pollution in the sky, we are integrating and downloading information that is so evolutionary and restorative for humanity. So the dark force controllers are thinking that they've, got this all sewn up and they're literally trying to just overwhelm and confuse us. But there's other potential benefits that are coming from this. So again, there's never a need to look at something as black and white. This is bad, it shouldn't be happening, or this is totally fine. It is multi-purpose. On the most gross level, it is about us learning to disconnect from the old dysfunctional systems, and especially to pull our attention away from being manipulated out of the fact that this is done erratically. So I guess what I'm seeing is to empower those of you that are living in South Africa to really be advocating on behalf of having these outages scheduled in advance because there's no reason. There's no reason why that's not being done. So that's like a first level. And then the second level is to say there's a higher spiritual purpose to what's happening here. Again, there's our hermit looking into the inner light that comes from being in the dark. The ability to see the constellations. Wow. Maturing, a deepening. Okay, so this is taking us into a deeper part of ourselves because I don't know about you, but the times that I have faced unpredictable power outages, it's quickly shown me where I'm most vulnerable and ways that I haven't created different levels of security and backup for myself. So there is an aspect here of us deepening into more personal autonomy through these challenges. Again, for those of you that are going through this, I am not trying to downplay the effect of it, especially the long-term psychological effect of losing control. However, I am encouraging you to see literally the silver lining here. Something is going on. Something is happening. Okay, this is our advice. 3 of Swords, 6 of Swords. Okay, so the silver lining. The 3 of Swords is literally the cloud. You see that cloud? And those 3 swords piercing the heart. So through suffering, a silver lining emerges. And it is motivating us to go to a new power source, to go in a new direction. And this is kind of what I was getting. I'm just going to lay out some cards here on the side. Wow. Technology, information, the Page of Swords and the Queen of Swords. The World. Oh, wow. The World and the 8 of Wands. Leading the world in new energy. This is what I was suspecting. Leading the world in new energy. So South Africa as a whole continent is going to be the leader in bringing forth this new technology. Now, whoa, this is getting really exciting. I'm getting very excited from what's coming through here. Thank you for all of your attention on this very powerful topic, literally powerful topic, because your guides are present and all of our collective focus is giving me so much more information than if I were to just sit here and ask the question myself. So what they're showing me is that this technology is not a thing. It's a knowledge. Wow. I mean, we'll see what else comes from this, but it's not it's not like an object. It's not like, oh, we build this physical thing or we, use these material things together and it creates this. It's like it's something that we can access by knowing about it. Almost like the ability to call in a certain kind of frequency. So there's going to be, what I'm being shown is like there's a coalescing of different technologies. And it's almost like Africa, particularly South Africa, is going to be this hubbub for alternative energy technology, but it's going to go way beyond wind, solar, and all that stuff. This is about different styles of free energy devices and practices. information. So, yeah, right? Oh my gosh, just looking back. Yeah, hi. Oh my goodness. Our new ways in the dark. Truly. Um, all right. This is what I was getting over the last day or two when I would allow myself to periodically contemplate this topic. I kept hearing really clearly South Africa is going to be the leader in free energy. So let's now pad this with a couple of other angles around the topic, and then we'll go on to the anomalies in the Libyan desert. First of all, on the one side, I reached out to my dear friend Beth Nickel, and if you're around, Beth, hello, a shout out to you. Thank you for being the most incredible resource of gathering intel and information. This person has been my longtime friend, and I just have to message her and say, I need info, I need intel on this. And she just like goes through all of her backlog of stored information and brings forth the stuff. So anyway, she had all these connections between the World Economic Forum and what's happening with the power situation in South Africa. So we know that. And also, I have heard around the dark force controllers that Africa as a continent is going to be, first of all, it's the place where a lot of the experiments in social response have been done. So when you experiment and do these outrageous things to a population and just pick a number, any number of one of the things that have been done in Africa, what is the grassroots response? How do people react to that? It's basically a petri dish of psychological experimentation and other forms of terrible, nefarious experiments that have been done in Africa as well. So on the one hand, there's a design to recapture Africa and, turn it into a massive slave nation. And in some ways, you can see that that's been done effectively over literally centuries. However, that's the one side. That's the dark force agenda coming in to do another big sweep over Africa. Now we look at Africa from the other perspective, which is the higher spiritual perspective. And we see that it is also the birthplace of, it's sort of like the womb of humanity, of the planet. It's the place where things are literally brought into creation. If you think about throughout the history of Africa, various different perspectives on the origin of humanity, trace it back to Africa. That's a whole huge topic in itself. We won't go into great detail about that, but regardless of which stream of human evolution you look at, Africa is a central birthplace for so much of that. And the other thing is that Africa has had these phenomenal technologies throughout history. So, for example, Africa has been a major point in the Atlantean technology. Just look at Egypt, the pyramids, all the different technologies related to, there's just phenomena there that look like they're power plants, power generating plants. And this goes back probably literally tens of thousands of years in Africa. So in a way, it's kind of like, here we go again. The cycle has come back around full circle, and Africa is about to emerge as this new birthplace. Okay, now let's have a look at the second topic. Just checking over here to see how everyone's doing. Lovely. Yes, Sue. Africa's been picked on because it's so powerful all along. So let's just look at that. And I'm not singling you out, Sue, because we all struggle with this languaging. Again, if we can see the potency of Africa, and it has been picked on or it has been chosen. It's depending on which way we want to look at it. I know for so many of us, when we do our own personal spiritual healing, a lot of the time, the things that have been our greatest challenges, our greatest suffering, becomes our strength. That becomes our gift. It's usually a direct, again, like a silver lining. Whatever your personal brand of suffering and trauma has been, creates your strength, your ability. So we could see, as you say, Africa is such a potent continent, and it has been chosen to be this place where so many of these, vast extremes are played out. And so if we can restore it to its place of honor, almost like the center point of this planet in terms of what it offers us for healing, growth, and evolution. So on that note, I'm going to shuffle again, and we're going to ask this time about these anomalies in the Libyan desert. So as I mentioned earlier, these anomalies are literally patterns that you can see from, the satellite imagery on Google Earth. You can see these imprints in the desert that literally look like embryos in their first stages of development, human reproductive organs, and so on. And it's quite an extraordinary phenomena. And then also, of course, as I was mentioning before, that a little bit further west in that North African desert area is that the Eye of God, what's known as the Eye of God, which appears to be exactly an impression of similar to Plato's description of the city of Atlantis. So what do we need to know about these phenomena? What does this information, what does this focus allow us to understand about where we are in our evolutionary process, and also about what's about to happen here on planet Earth? What we are gestating, what is in its embryonic stage? So here's us, Four of Wands. This is an upgrade card. It's an energy upgrade. So we're about to graduate to a new level. Oh my. Grief. The grief card. Gosh, I'm not exactly sure at this very moment how to interpret that. I'm just going to lay it down here, and it will make itself more understandable as we lay out the rest of the cards. Okay, so gosh, Nine of Cups. The Nine of Cups is what we call the wish fulfillment card. And I also have called it, I've literally termed it the conception card. So something has been conceived. And when I see this with these 9 cups, I'm really drawn to this idea of a 9-month gestation or a 9-week phenomena. So something in the past, maybe 9 weeks to 9 months ago, was conceived and is now growing. The Emperor. The Emperor is in the present. The Emperor is like the patriarch. It's the masculine principle. So very interesting. And then in the near future, the King of Swords. Okay. I've got to keep going and lay out some more, because this isn't immediately obvious to me what the cards are relaying. Let's have a look. Huh. All right. Well, you're going to help me solve this riddle. We're going to talk about just individually what the cards represent, and then we'll start looking at the whole message. So we've got this grief card here. We've got something was conceived, something was created, and we've got this patriarchal sort of energy of the father. And then we've got this, I want to see him as almost like the scientist, um, the researcher. But both of these cards are very masculine sort of energy of science, research, technology, and so on. And then over here, we have another very masculine, kind of assertive, intellectually dominant sort of energy here. And across from that is this new creation. So I'm going to just lay out the final few cards and see if we can make sense of this in the big picture. Aha. Okay, now here is look at this. Look at the warm energy of those two together. Creative, new growth, very earth-based. And, 10 of Cups, a new experience. Like this is almost like the new earth card. Do you see that? Do you see how everyone is living in harmony under that rainbow of possibility? And then underneath it is the Four of Pentacles, which is again focusing on stability and security. So I guess if I have to like really pull this all together, I would say that we are looking at a phenomena that is bringing our attention to this process. And I'm getting somewhere between 3,000 and 5,000 years of a lot of sorrow, a lot of trauma, a lot of suffering that has been based on the dominant model of patriarchy. So we are basically back to the full circle, this wish fulfilled, something new has been conceived, and we are now confronting this kind of dominant model and feeling the grief of that. So there's going to be something in the next 2 or 3 years, 2 or 3 decades about processing the grief around the negative impact of this patriarchal model. So interesting that this negative impact, like it has also had positive impact. It's not just, again, a black and white thing. So much has been revealed, created, developed through this patriarchal model. However, it literally has become so kind of out of control. And interestingly, we have this card related to technology and science. So it's almost like we are going to go through technology and science backwards to heal the sorrow and suffering of what's happened on this planet, particularly with regards to these power dominant models. So somehow this is related to what we're seeing in the desert. What we're seeing is, and these people, like the person that runs the YouTube channel Mud Fossil, I did watch a few of their offerings, and it is very male, scientific, research oriented. Some of it is pretty way out there stuff. And it's like we're going to have to go through that. Like, we're almost going to need to research um, metaphysics, metaphysical phenomena. Like, we're going to need to learn about our Earth through this old model. Like, we're not ready to just know it and understand it on a very sort of heart-centered, full, whole brain way. We've got to learn it. So that's that's not what I was expecting from this. What I was expecting was, to see the Empress, which is the great mother, Mother Gaia, Mother Earth, and all these cards related to like New Earth and the feminine, and that this is a sign that the feminine is rising, and that New Earth is about to start literally budding off the trees, and this is not saying that won't happen, but what it is showing is that we have to understand it through the lens that we've been programmed with. Wow. Wow. uh okay. What do y'all think of that? Um oh yeah, grieving the old world. Oh, Sophia Grace. Oh yeah. Wondering, thank you, Sue, about the importance of not victimizing, rather learning, transforming, and ascending. Yeah. So um, I'm going to just throw this out there because I think it's important. So I have been a researcher of metaphysical phenomena for probably over 40 years now, since I was a teenager. And people often say to me, how do you just land so confidently and calmly with all of this information that's circulating, and how do you stay so heart-centered? And I actually attribute it to the fact that I've researched and integrated so much information that over time it starts, and it all sort of gradually, it was sort of like drip fed through the decades for me. I wasn't like so many people that are struggling with waking up really rapidly now and having just all this masses of information. Um, to you, I want to say you're likely going to find the gems. And someone like me that's waded through literally decades of phenomena and metaphysical information, I can bring you some of those gems so that you don't have to spend so much time getting lost in all that information. So what I've experienced is that through exploring, learning, researching, learning history and then learning alternate history, learning science and then learning quantum science and metaphysical science, like over the decades, it's created this incredible vessel for me to actually be able to grow a vision, a possibility of what can evolve here. It's because I have so much of that established background. So, what helped me to instantly see the relevance of those images in the desert when I looked at them was something that happened to me decades ago, where I had a friend. He was very scientific, and he was researching this phenomena of associating the different cycles of the evolutionary geological transformation of planet Earth over the millennia and the eons. And he actually correlated it to an embryo from its moment of conception all the way to its final stages of growth and ultimately its birth as a being in interdimensionally. And it was literally like he had graphed the ratios of all these things throughout the millennia, and he was associating it with the phases of, the development of the human embryo. And it was fascinating. It was fascinating stuff. So his ultimate theory or hypothesis is that we are about to birth a new earth. Like he was seeing it, that these processes have been complete, and that this new earth is about to emerge now, whether that's within the next few decades or centuries or whatever. But he was saying basically we're right at that birthing moment for the planet as a whole. So when I saw those images in the desert, what I was getting, because the person that's tracking them is actually observing, they're changing. So what looks like, the fertilized egg over, he's been following it for whatever years, and now it looks like the egg is divided, this fertilized embryo is in cell division, and so on and so on. So what I get is that we're going to literally see evidence that we can understand from a scientific perspective. And people like this person are going to be going, look what's happening. Like, it's right in front of our eyes. We can see this transpiring on the landscape of our earth. It's like messages coming through, like the crop circles. It's like these imprints of a story are being relayed to us so that we understand what the story of our earth and our connection to that story is. So, in closing today, I want to say that's kind of fascinating that we're going to be healing this power dominant model. Like, it's almost like we have to be scientifically led and convinced. It's like, even myself, I consider myself so open-minded and open-hearted, but without a really obvious convincing argument, I settle back into these patterns. Like, I want to be open. I want to be in that frequency and always be able to receive the ultimate true messages. And yet, like, the blinders come down. Like, it's where we're at. So we need this intellectual scientific approach. We need to actually see the evidence on the planet. We need to see these images, satellite images, and talk about them so that we can unbind ourselves. It's like we have to get in to get out. We have to go in through the technology, science, intellectual gateway to get out of it. That's basically the bottom line story. Not really what I was expecting, but there we go. Woohoo! Yes. Where are we at here? Hello. Lovely. So please, before I close off for today, thank you all for joining me, those of you that have come in. And for those of you that are watching after the fact, please leave your comments below, and please, obviously, like, share, and subscribe, and leave any questions that you have for next week's live Q&A. You're very welcome, Shauna. Bye, Sophia. Bye, everyone. And just a quick reminder about my seasonal sale. It ends on March 20th. You can access the coupon code below to receive a 23% discount on all readings and ancestral healing sessions that are purchased before March 20th. You can schedule them anytime in the upcoming weeks and months. Blessings to you all. We'll see you here next time.